Good afternoon, this is James from Advanced In-Car Technologies. Today we've been working on this 2015 Audi A7. On a previous video we've just shown you how we've retrofitted the brand new factory reversing camera retrofit, but I'm just going to run through some of the new features on this particular model, because up until 2015 they had the standard MMI 3G or the inferior version, the RMC. Well, this is the all singing and dancing 8-inch display, a bit like the Touareg but the non-touchscreen, and you'll see the awesome use of the 7-inch driver's information system. Now you've got the maps on there, and you know, that is a great way to use that big space, and this is an executive model. So just looking at this area first, along the top here you've got your simple action. So you've got navigation, you've got your telephone, you've got your radio stations with of course your digital radio, and then you've got your trip computer, and you can scroll down through your miles per gallon and short-term memory, fuel consumption, and other bits and pieces, and you can press this little button here that then opens up your menu a little bit more. So you've got your onboard computer, open up a whole new menu with your efficiency program. So the more I switch on, the more or less fuel economy. So for instance, if I turn on some heated seats left and right, and I turn on the rear window heater, you can see here this green bar is filling up. So that's how much energy I'm using or saving by having those features on or off. Anyway, so going back out of that, digital speedometer, quite a nice feature to have, but this car you don't need it because it's got the added ability of the heads-up display, which I don't have in my car. I love this. I think it's such a cool bit of kit. Probably not cheap, but to be able to just drive and see a tiny 1 pence piece size speedo is absolutely amazing. Okay, so going out of that, you've got your digital radio stations, telephone. Slightly changed the way you see this now. Rather than having missed received dialed calls, they've just got an arrow for out, in, missed, or etc. So they've simplified the whole operation. And again, the navigation is simple. You can choose or define your settings of what you see on this screen here, like the compass for instance, and other bits and pieces.
The route is being calculated.
So at the moment you've got here the MMI 8-inch display. Now what they've done here is they've changed some of the way you see things.
To the route shown.
We'll just turn her off. So what we can do now is, as you can see here, this familiar display, but for all of you eagle-eyed people, we've now got the electronic program guide. You'll only get this for the MIB2. So you can go in here, let's say we've selected, we're on listening to Radio 1 Extra. It's going to tell you who's on and at what time. It's a bit like your TV, your free view at home. You can see exactly what's on. So if you are driving on a long journey, you can now see what you want to listen to, what sort of mood you're into, which is quite handy. Sadly though, they didn't do the thumbnails of the stations. I wish they had, because the new Polos and the Golfs all do these little thumbnails of what station you're listening to. It would have been nice, but there's obviously a reason for it. But you still do have the radio text on like there, like so. So moving on from the radio section, you can go into the media. Media is simple. You've got the possibility of having an aux in. You've got your jukebox once you've loaded your SD card options, and that's videos and CDs or music files, MP3, and also your CD you can add in. Jukebox is quite handy actually, because you can then flick through like you would on the Apple programs, where you can flick through your artwork covers, which is quite cool. Auxiliary, you've got Bluetooth, which I only really use in my car, to be quite honest. You've got wireless LAN, and you've also got the MIB2 features Grace Note for album and music selection, which is quite handy as well. So flicking over to navigation, so as not to bore you to death, These options here are added on. You don't have to have them. You can have the full 8-inch display there, and you can turn these off, but admittedly I find these are really handy, especially driving on the motorway in England or in France. It tells you what services are coming up and what those services feature: fuel, toilets, cafe, that sort of thing. But having the Google Maps here is a really, really handy way of moving onwards with technology, and it's such a big crisp display as well. Not only with Google Maps, but what you can do is, as you zoom in, I mean, we're on an industrial estate now and we're slightly off road, but if we were on the main road, you could actually have street view, which is really cool. So as you zoom into 30 yards, you'll find the little yellow man pop up, and providing you're stationary, you can use your street view to then zoom in, scroll down the road and look for particular house numbers or building names and numbers, which is really cool. You can see that we've got Google Maps activated down here. You wouldn't have that if you didn't have the SD card, but we've also got this online feature. So the online feature, this goes back to here. So the online feature features Audi Connect. Now, for instance, if I'm out in my car, somebody in my office can select a route and download it to my car without me having to do anything, because your car has a username and a new unique password, so that then can be tracked and uploaded information to it, which is a really nice feature. There's not much more to say about this. There's the other usual bits and pieces, settings for the steering, suspension, other bits and pieces. Quite a nice visual of the Audi A7 there, and then you can go in and set all the other bits and pieces, and they've made it, I mean, you can see little touches like this, you think, well, actually they've made some nice little efforts to make the user interface really quite cool. I think it's a nice feature, but you don't really need it. It's just an option. Anyway, that was just a quick overview here of this 2015 Audi A7. You've been watching Advanced In-Car Technologies, and if you want to get in touch with us for any questions or any other mods, get in touch through www.advanced-incar.co.uk. Thanks for watching.